In September. This is the end of the series on cultivating resilience. Now, you will continue to cultivate resilience forevermore, and hopefully this series will contribute to that. Today, we will work with adaptability in the face of change and transition. And so our focus from a movement perspective will be on the process of movement, on the flow of movement, not so much on holding a posture or being in a particular form or shape, but on the process of moving from one shape to another. And so the yoga sun salute is one example of acknowledging the ephemeral nature of life, right? It's not about a particular posture. It is really about moving from posture to become very attuned to the flow of life. And so this is how we will work with our yoga today, is to become very aware of transitions, very aware of changes and how our body moves through the change, how our mind moves through the change, how our breath moves, and what our emotional reactivity might be. And then to take enough space and time to let our prefrontal cortex come on board to give us wisdom in that movement and in those transitions and changes. So there will be a lot of flowing and moving today, and I invite you at any point that you need to take a break, take a child's pose. Just let yourself be for a moment, and don't force something if it doesn't feel right. There will be quite a bit of work on the hands, because the sun salute, has planks and down dogs and this and that. We will take breaks from that. We will relieve that, but if at any point you need to take a break and take a few wrist circles, or you need to shake your wrist, please do that. Just be really attentive to your own process. That's kind of the key here, okay? All right, so we will actually take our opening centering standing again, just as we did last week. So do come ahead and stand up. And we will start with a breath that I call connection breath. It has 3 parts to it. It might be a little bit challenging in the beginning to track it, so just make sure you can see at least one of us on the screen, or just listen to my instructions. I'll talk us through the first few, but at some point we will move into this connection breath quietly so that you can really focus on the process of the breath unfolding within you. This is the one time when we will work in a synchronized fashion, so we will try to find a breathing cycle that works for everyone. And so I'll just get us started. If you want to watch the first round, you're absolutely welcome to, or you can just go ahead and come on in. So find your mountain pose and find a nice steadiness in the feet, knowing that they'll probably rearrange themselves a little bit as we move through this particular breath from the end movement. In your mountain pose, find your inner strength, both literally through drawing in through the core and figuratively through bringing yourself into this moment. Keeping your screen still somewhat in your view so you can see what we're doing. Find a nice focal point. Find a steadiness for your gaze. Let yourself root into the earth and feel yourself be present in this moment. There's so much change and transition in life that we really need to learn how to hold ourselves steady and fully present during the change. We will begin with the next inhalation. We'll inhale the arms up, reaching toward the sky, letting the palms meet above the head. And then we draw the energy of the sky to our heart as we breathe out. Then we inhale, opening ourselves up to the world. And then we exhale and draw the world into our heart. We inhale, connect ourselves yet again to the sky, and then let the arms travel around the world to come into our core, our center. And from here we repeat. Inhaling, reaching for something greater. Exhaling, drawing it into our heart. Inhaling, embracing the new. Exhaling and bringing it into ourself. Inhaling, reaching for the sky. Exhaling, bringing that spaciousness to our heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, come home. Inhale, embrace the world. Exhale, return to center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, return. Inhale. Oops. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Last round. Inhaling, reaching for the sky. Exhaling, drawing spaciousness to your heart. Inhaling to embrace the world. Exhaling to bring the world home to you. Inhaling, reaching for your higher purpose. And exhaling, bringing it inward. From here, bow your head to your heart and invite an intention to emerge for your time on the mat today. If it feels appropriate with an inhalation, draw that intention deeper into your heart, into every fiber of your being. And with an exhalation, send it out into your world. And then release your hands. Very sweet. So we did 9 rounds of that. That's a typical number for that particular breath. All right, we will inhale the arms up. Catch the left wrist with the right hand overhead. Maybe widen your stance a little bit. And then we'll flow with the breath, bending to the right with the exhale. Inhaling back to center as we inhale. And we will keep going to the same side. We're not going to switch sides. We're going to go to the right a few times. Exhaling down, inhaling up. And as you work here on bringing length into the left side body, Notice whether your heart collapses, and open the heart back up by drawing the left shoulder back. It has a tendency to want to come forward like this, so see if you can stay open in this side bend. It probably won't be as big of a side bend then, but that's okay because it means your heart is open. So while it's not physically as big, emotionally it's even bigger. And as you move through this posture here, this flow, just notice, where are you in the side bend? Where does this posture start and end? And you might realize it doesn't. It's like you can't really define the beginning or the end. It's just a movement. It's just a flow. It's a way of transitioning your body from one position to another. One more time to the right. And then the next time we come up with an inhalation, we'll switch the clasp of the wrist and descend to the left, opening now the right side body. Again, paying attention as you flow with your own breath here. We're no longer synchronized. To keeping the heart open as you flow, as you lengthen, as you explore this notion of where is the side bend here. You know, we call this a side bend, but it's really side bending. It's a verb, not a noun, right? It's a process, not a destination. Take a couple more, heart nice and open. And then the next time you come up to center, you can release the arms down to your side and circle them around to bring them back to your heart, to take a moment here to recenter, to refocus, and maybe to feel the impact of the movement in your body and in your breath. And then release the hands down and have your two blocks handy. We will need them pretty much for the entire remainder of the practice. And at some point, we'll also need a blanket, just so you know, since I didn't mention that earlier. All right, I need to get a hair tie. Sorry. All right, so face your blocks. And you can have them on the highest setting, the middle setting, or the lowest setting at this point. Later in the practice, you will have them on the lowest setting for stability, which means if you need more height than that, you might need to find a couple of books or another set of blocks to make it, your support high enough. Though right now you can have the blocks any way you want them. They'll be stable enough for what we're doing right now. All right, so we will start by inhaling the arms up. And then as you exhale, I'll show this way, bring your fingertips into your hip crease. This is the place where your leg meets your pelvis. And use the fingers to push into the hip crease to see how that encourages your pelvis to roll over the heads of the femurs. So it creates a forward fold that maintains a nice neutral spine in the lumbar. And so just feel this a few times as you're pressing the fingertips into the hip creases. Come forward. Have the knees a little bit bent because we haven't really opened up the backs of the legs yet, and we really do want to keep the back in neutral. And do this a couple more times, and then the next time you press into your hip crease and come forward. Come forward all the way and let your hands land on your blocks. Very nice. From here, move into a tiny squat, so bend the knees. And then we're going to take sort of a little cat and cow flow here, really moving forward fold and half lift, a variation of it. So you'll inhale and come into a bend knee half lift, almost like a little mini chair pose. And then you'll exhale and fold, rounding this time the upper back. And then flow through this little variation with your own breath. Inhaling your heart open as you come into the half lift chair type pose, and exhaling as you curl yourself into a cat-like forward fold. The knees can stay bent the entire time, or if you're feeling super flexy this morning, they could be straight when you curl into your forward fold. And just notice how this is reverberating in your body. Be open to creating something slightly different than what I'm showing to honor your own body and your own process. And take 2 or 3 more of these, depending on your own breath cycle. Maybe feeling the challenge in your legs, saying hello to your quadriceps and your hamstrings, the big muscles in the front and the back of the thigh. And then come to stillness in a forward fold with the hands nicely propped on your blocks. I'm going to turn. From here, you can have the knees slightly bent if your hammies are tight. That's totally okay. From here, we'll take a few little warm-up twists. And so with your inhalation, and we'll work just on the right side to begin with your inhalation, release the right hand off the block, and the left hand should really not have a lot of weight in it. So you're kind of holding yourself here with your belly. And then as you inhale, open the right arm up to the side, any amount, it doesn't have to go far. And then as you exhale, wrap that arm around to the outside of the left leg and maybe take a little bend in the right knee. The next time you bring the right arm up, bend in the left knee and open a little bit wider. And so each time now, as you move through here, you might find that you want to bend one knee at a time a little bit more to bring more openness into the body. Or you might find you want to do this with straight legs, just twisting higher up in the body. Notice what your process is. How does your body want to transition from being open-hearted to twisting into a more closed shape here? Flowing 2 to 3 more times. And then the next time you're coming up, come back to your forward fold, hands on blocks. And we will shift to the other side. So start with knees either both slightly bent or straight. And just focus on the opening of the upper body when you inhale. And then twist the hand around to the right on the exhale. Then begin to bring perhaps a bend into the opposite knee so that the opposite hip moves forward. Switching that up as you shift. Just notice how your own body wants to flow through this. We all have very different anatomies, and so our yoga poses, we have to own them, we have to embody them in a way that's appropriate for our own anatomy and physiology and for this moment in time. So you could even work with your eyes closed here to become more aware of your inner body And let that determine how you flow, rather than to look at the screen and try to copy something that you see. Couple more times. And then the next time you return, come to your forward fold. From here, make sure that you're fairly far toward the top of your mat, and bring your right foot to the inside of the right block. We're coming into a lunge. You've seen me do this many times by now. And step the foot back. Left foot back so that we're all with the right foot forward. And just find your lunge position here. You've been here frequently. And by now you probably have a sense of your own body and what makes it comfortable. And so if you need to work with the knee on the floor, that's beautiful, right? It allows you to have a very open heart. And so make your own decision about where you want to be in this lunge, in this moment. You can be on the knee. So I'll show that on the knee first, and then I'll show it with the knee lifted. So you start in your forward fold, in your lunge. And let's all inhale and exhale here. And then as your next inhale wants to start, feel the little bit of lift that happens in your body from the inhale, and use that to step the right leg back into a plank pose. In your plank pose, take a breath or two. At the end of your next exhalation, get ready to move with the inhalation to step that right foot back to the block. We'll do this a few more times so you can play with either having the back knee lifted or lowered. But it's always the same thing. We take a round of breath, we fully exhale, and then in that moment of shifting to the inhalation, when the body wants to rise up, that's when we step the leg back. Because your body supports the movement. In that moment, it supports the process. You're ready for the transition. Then you take your breath in plank pose, and then the same thing. As you fully have exhaled and the next inhalation wants to come, you use that momentum of the inhale to step forward. And I stepped the wrong leg forward. We're just working on the right leg. And then the same thing, move with your own breath. I will stop talking. I'll invite you to explore this. So after a full exhalation, with the inhalation, find the lift to step. You might notice there's a greater lightness in your step here when you're working with the breath. Let's all meet in plank. And be on the knees. And then with the onset of an inhalation, step the left foot forward this time, so that we do this a few times on the other side now. And just notice as you do the other side, is there a difference side to side? For most of us there is. Maybe the muscles are different, maybe the breath moves different. And keep stepping with the breath, exhaling fully, and then using the inhalation to step the foot. Now, if you want to be adventurous, find your right-handed or right-footed lunge again, right foot forward. You can either step again the way we did, or you can use that momentum from the inhalation to jump switch. You can try it, or you might not. Just see, right? Okay, and so the same thing happens. You inhale, you exhale fully, and then you use that momentum of the next inhalation to lift and jump. Exhale, lift and jump. Yeah. And jump. And you become aware that if you use the breath to guide the movement, if you focus on the process and not the goal, this actually becomes somewhat manageable. All right, from here, go ahead and take your blocks and bring them to the lower setting. And then if you need more height, take a couple of books. Go ahead and step your knees back. The next transition we will work on is from plank pose, where we already have been quite a few times now, to the floor. This is, our yoga push-up or chaturanga. We'll do it on the knees first so that you can feel what it's like. Make sure your blocks are wide enough that you have room for your chest to go through the center of them. This will feel odd at first, but we're trying to really change up how you think about your sun salute today. And then from here, in your plank pose, inhale. When you're full, then with the exhalation, lower yourself down, nice and straight, all the way to the floor. And find yourself on the floor. We're going to reverse this a few times and flow. If this was too much, then take a blanket and put it where your hips will come so that you have a little extra lift for the hips. And this will make things a little bit more manageable. I'll show that. But this is the transition we're working with. With the exhalation, you lower yourself nice and straight toward the floor. Chest comes through the blocks. Once you're at the bottom, you really have an opportunity to relax here and take a breath. And then with the lift of the inhalation, press yourself back up. Plank pose. As you exhale, lower yourself down. Chaturanga, nice and slow. The next time, if you'd like, you can curl the toes under and try it with the knees lifted, but there's no requirement for that. As you bring yourself down nice and slow, nice and controlled to the floor. And then back up with the inhalation. One last time, up and down. Let the inhale propel you up. Sweet. Then if you had a blanket under you, you can actually keep it there and lie on it. If you would prefer not to have the blanket, you can slide it out of the way. And we're going to come to the floor. We're going to keep the bricks. So this really is about observing the process, but it's also about being open to working with things in a different way. Because often when we move through change or challenge or transition, we try to address the situation from the same mindset that we had that created it. And so what we're trying to do today is to change your mindset and say, okay, well, how can I use my smarts, my blocks, my prefrontal cortex to help me here? So we are going to start on the belly and we will move into little cobras. So have the hands on the blocks, have the blocks under the shoulders, and then walk the hips away from the shoulders. So make yourself nice and long. Press the pubic bone into the floor. Really feel the connection. Press your toenails into the floor. Your legs are really working here. The pelvis tilts backwards just a little bit. And then with the momentum of the inhalation, lift yourself up into a tiny cobra. You have the blocks so you can use them. And then lower down nice and slow. So don't let gravity take you down. Use your core muscles. Now, if you want to try this without hands, you can interlace the fingers behind you and lift and lower that way. You can even, when you come down to rest, rest the shoulders on the blocks. It actually feels really nice. And then continue to flow and transition with your own body. And maybe at some point you think, oh, I'm just going to push all the way to upward dog here. Just play with it and see where you land, right? And maybe you're on your knees the first time. And then lower. And each time you lower down with the intention of bringing the shoulders away from the hips so that the back stays nice and long. It's the process, it's the transition that really creates the joy in this flow. All right, the next time you press up, stay lifted, and then press yourself back toward a child's pose. And then we'll just transition back and forth here a couple times. You're coming in sort of a plank, child flow without really fully going into either posture. You're interested more in that movement that happens between the two. So you might pay attention to how good this feels for your low back because you're really stretching it. You're really softening it. And so we'll just do that one more time. And if you're like me and your feet are off the mat, bring yourself forward. If you're still fully on the mat, you can be where you are. And then the next time you're landing in that movement toward child's pose without really getting there, really press the hands into the block. Your wrists should be nice and long here, so there should be not too much strain in the wrist. Curl the toes under, and with the power of the inhalation, lift the hips into down dog. And then the next time you exhale, come forward again into your almost plank pose. Yeah, and yes, you can absolutely do this with the knees lifted all the way. Lifting into dog, lowering, child, plank, plank, child, dog. Or if you just want to transition plank to down dog with the knees lifted, you can try that. Being very mindful of the process and not being so interested in the posture, but really being interested in the health of the movement between the two. The next time you're flowing into down dog, stay there. And now we'll work on the transition to a lunge out of a down dog. It's the same as we did before. So you'll inhale and exhale fully, and then you'll let the power of the initiation of the inhalation lift the foot forward. And if you have to take multiple steps, you know, like if your lift gets you to here, then just keep lifting until you're forward. I have one student who used to joke that, well, I think I'll just call it cab for that foot. And she had to take 10 little steps to get the foot forward, and that's totally okay. The hands stay on the blocks the entire time. That gives you a little bit of extra space. Then try it with the left foot. And just go a couple of times. Down dog, exhale, inhale, lift. The next time you're in a lunge, stay in the lunge. And then as you inhale, step the back foot forward. Come into your half lift here as you're inhaling. And then with the exhale, drop into a forward fold. Bring the hands to your hips, really on the back of the hips. And let the elbows point up, straight up toward the ceiling. And then with an inhalation, rise up. As you exhale, Bring the hands to the heart. And breathe. So now we will put all of this together in one flow. So you can see you can be on the blocks through the entire sun salute, which is really nice because it's an arm extender. It just really creates a little more ease in the body. We'll do it on the blocks at least once all together. And then if you decide you would like to try it without the blocks, you're absolutely welcome to do that. And so remember, the point here is to really be attentive to the transition, to the process, and not so much to reach for the next pose. All right, let's inhale the arms up. And as you exhale, bring the fingertips into the hip creases and fold. Inhale yourself into a half lift. Step the left foot back into a lunge. With the inhale, right foot back, plank. You can be on the knees. One breath here. With your next exhalation, lower to the floor, chaturanga. Walk the hips away from the shoulders. With the inhalation, lift up either into a little cobra or into an up dog. We're going to do that 2 or 3 times here. Little tiny back bends. Inhaling into the bend, exhaling toward the floor. The next time you press up, you might stay on the knees to press up into an upward dog, then curl the knees, press back toward child, and from child all the way into down dog. Take a full round of breath in down dog. Once you have exhaled, prepare to step the right foot forward on the next inhalation. Exhale and let the next inhale bring the left foot forward. Half lift. Exhale into a forward fold. Hands come to the hips, elbows pointing up. Inhale and rise. Exhale, hands to heart. Take one breath and then we'll do the other side. Exhale, lower the hands to your side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fingers to the hip creases, forward, fold to a half lift. Exhale, fold all the way. As you inhale, right foot steps back. Take a full breath. After your next exhalation, with the inhalation, left foot back, plank. After your next inhalation, use the exhalation to transport you to the floor, nice and slow, resisting gravity. Make your body long, walk the hips away from the shoulders, and then the next time you inhale, 2 or 3 times, little tiny cobras or up dogs, your choice. And then the next time you press up, come as high as you can, curl the toes, move toward child's pose, and then from there, find your down dog and take a free breath here. Maybe even 2. And then after your next exhalation, use the inhalation to step the right foot forward. Let the left foot follow with an inhalation. Define yourself in a half lift. Exhale into a fold. Hands to hips. Inhale to rise. Exhale, hands to heart. Now, yogi's choice, I will actually show this from the other side now. We will take at least 2 more rounds of this, so you can start being playful with it. I will continue to give the instructions this way, but if you want to start modifying by taking blocks away or moving more deeply, maybe lifting the knees rather than lowering it, just explore and see what's possible for your body. Be playful and enjoy the transitions. All right, so we'll take 2 more together with me giving instructions, and then we'll do a couple completely silent. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, fingers to the hip creases, forward fold. Inhale to step the left foot back. Inhale to step the right foot back, plank. Full breath here. Next time you exhale, lower to the floor, nice and slow, resisting gravity. Make the body long here. And then with your next 3 inhalations, take your variation of a back bend. You can also stay in the back bend for the 3 breaths, or you can pulsate through. Pressing the pubic bone into the floor, pressing the toenails into the floor. The next time you press up, come all the way into your version of up dog, move toward child's pose, and from there press into down dog, where you'll take a few breaths. After your next exhalation, prepare to use the inhalation to propel the left foot forward. Exhale, let the next inhalation propel the right foot forward into a half lift, and then exhale into forward fold. Hands to hips. Inhale and rise. Exhale and ground. 2 breaths here. With your next exhalation, release the hands to the side. Then inhale them up. Hands to the hip creases, forward fold. Half lift. Let the next inhalation propel the right foot back. Exhale, and then inhale the left foot back, plank pose. Take a full round of breath. And with your next exhalation, very controlled, very slow, resisting gravity, transition to the floor. Make your spine long before you move into your little back bends here. Yogi's choice, cobras, locusts. You can stay or you can pulse. With your next inhalation, press into your version of up dog. From there, exhale to child and to down dog. Hold down dog. You can even be in puppy pose here. The knees are always a great option. At the end of your next exhalation, prepare to let the inhalation propel the left foot forward. Right foot forward, half lift. Exhale, fold. Hands to hips. Inhale to rise. Exhale to center. All right, do you feel like you have it? Can we do it without instructions for one round, which means twice? One's on the right, one's on the left. Thumbs up if yes. Okay, all right, let's try it. So I will get us started and then we'll move from there. Unless you're already partway in which case that's totally great. And if you want, you can try it without blocks. So we'll start in mountain pose. Get yourself prepared. Look forward to the process. And then with your next inhalation, go ahead and start. Don't forget to do the second side. And ultimately, we will all meet again in mountain pose. Hands at the heart. Maybe your eyes feel comfortable to close here for a moment, as long as you have your physical balance. Tune into your breathing. Tune into your mind. And just notice the reverberations of this movement, of this transitioning, this process. There may be reverberations in the body. There may be effects on the breath. And this flow even influences the mind. It's a walking or moving meditation, I should say. And then release the hands. All right, let's transition onto our backs. We'll do it with a nice little squat. You can have your blocks in front of you. Walk the feet mat width apart. And then come into a squat. And if you have the blocks in front of you, you can use them to squeeze them with your hands like this. And then that way you have a nice way of creating resistance between the arms and the legs, where the legs touch the inside of, or the arms touch the inside of the leg. So press the legs in and the arms out at the same time that your hands squeeze the block. This is a nice little release for your body. And then with that level of integration, see if you can touch the bum to the floor. Keep hanging onto the blocks. Yeah, beautiful. That was a really nice touchdown. Very sweet. Yes, lovely. All right, and then you can remove the blocks to the side. Have your blanket handy at the top of the mat if you use it on your head in Shavasana, so that you don't have to get yourself back up to grab that. And then roll yourself down onto your back. From here, block the hips away from the shoulders again to make the spine nice and long. And then bring the knees into the chest and give yourself a gentle little squeeze. Maybe roll the hips side to side to walk them even further away from the shoulders. And then release the knees and have them above the hip joint. And then just write your first name with your knees. Write it in cursive. Just pretend you're writing it onto the ceiling, and all you have is a pencil or a marker at the end of your knees, and you're using your knees. This is just a nice way of working out little kinks in the low back without having a systematic movement, but random little movements to fire your muscles in little unusual and novel ways. That's really good for the low back to chill out here. And so just have fun with this for a moment as you're making funny little shapes with your knees. And then when you're done writing your name, go ahead and bring your feet mat width apart. And take a few windshield wipers. Exhaling down and inhaling up, or if you want to stay on one side for a while and then transition to the other side, however you'd like to release here. Yet again, seeing in windshield wipers that there is no pose here, there's no form here. There's always transition, there's always change. One thing leads to the next, leads to the next. You might even begin to close your eyes if you didn't already as you flow here, side to side. If there's anything else your body would rather do in this moment, go ahead and indulge in small little releases that feel intuitive to you. Or you can keep windshield wipering. Take about 5 more seconds of free movement. And then keeping the feet mat width apart to begin with, lean the knees together so that you're on your back. The low back is released here because of the support from the knees and the feet. Let your arms come to your side. Maybe you nestle your shoulder blades underneath you a little bit. If you like the lift under your head during Shavasana, this would be the time to grab your blanket. And then you can either stay like this with the legs in this particular shape, or if you feel comfortable, you can release the legs out into your full Shavasana position. And notice as you settle in here, the weight of your own body settling into the earth. Become fully aware of the tangible nature of your body and release all of it, all of its weight into the ground. Letting go, releasing. Gently release your breath as well, trusting that it will move through you and that each exhalation will serve to deepen your sense of relaxation, your sense of letting go. And then perhaps notice that the mind too is more settled. If there is mental activity that's arising, which is not unusual, just let it be there. Trying to chase it away just makes it more prominent. Pursuing it just distracts you. So let it be what it is in this moment, knowing that you can come back to it later. Releasing body, breath, and mind. And from here, find a few minutes of silence. Very gently begin to direct your senses outward, taking in sounds that are around you, maybe feeling the ground beneath you and the air on your skin, maybe smelling the aromas in your room, maybe even blinking the eyes open to reorient yourself visually to your environment. Take a conscious breath in and out, and invite any intuitive movements, maybe some stretches or wiggles into your body. And then begin your transition to your seat, rolling across to your right side, maybe resting there for a breath or even two. And once you have found, just put yourself in here. Maybe the hands rest on your thighs or in your lap. Maybe your palms come together at your heart. Gently bow your head to heart center. And tune in one more time to your sense of resilience, your sense of adaptability, your capacity to be present for the movements, the transitions, the changes in your life. To be consciously and mindfully present for everything. Knowing that only through mindful presence will you have the wherewithal and the discernment to make lucid and clear-headed choices in moments of change and challenge. As always, thank you so much for practicing with me. It's an honor and a pleasure. Take good care. Thank you very much.